Welcome back, Marquette. As we heard before, people sometimes go to the extreme when it comes to being beautiful. Everywhere we go, there are images portraying what we should look like. But how do students feel about this? We took to the streets to find out how members of the Marquette community felt about body image in the media. We are bombarded by images in the media every day. We went around campus and asked students where they see these images.
I read Cosmo.
Yeah, I read 17 and Cosmo Girl.
Yes, I normally buy them for me and my roommates once a month, and I also get Us Weekly.
Yeah, they're like all over magazines, billboards, stuff like that.
We then asked them if they thought these images were realistic.
They used to not be, but I think that like more and more there have been like more articles where they want girls to just think positively about their bodies no matter what shape they are, and just the main point is just to stay healthy instead of like being a certain body image.
Not at all. I don't think any of them are. It's all glamorized.
I'd like to think so, but I know for sure that they don't. And I've heard numerous accounts of where magazines have airbrushed a lot of celebrities. And
I believe they're realistic with the aid of computers and retouching and stuff like that. Some bodies are realistic, but I don't think they're realistic in a healthy way.
We also asked the students if they thought the images affected the way people think about themselves.
I think that it would affect some people because the idea then would become achieving this image, and obviously it's not accessible to everybody.
I mean, I definitely look at people in the magazine and think like their bodies are so much better than mine. Like they have better abs, they have better legs, they have better butts. I mean, and I guess that does affect my body image, and sometimes it makes me want to work harder, and other times it just makes me want to eat cookie dough ice cream. I mean,
it seems as though like most girls try to like look up to them, emulate them and stuff like that, and it's like unhealthy to a point where they start hurting their bodies and stuff, and it's not attractive. Like you see really girls that are like paper thin, and they think that's like cute and stuff, and it's really not.
Despite what people think, the students we talked to were more confident about themselves.
Well, I think I'm gorgeous, and well, I do compare myself to, models that I see in the magazines.
But what affects my body image is that like other people and how I see like real people, not people in magazines.
Like, I'm me. I'm just a typical Lebanese kid. Like, we eat a lot, we smoke a lot. It's not a big deal.
Everybody is always worried about how images in the media will affect people who see them. It seems students on Marquette's campus understand that these images are unrealistic and unattainable, so that doesn't affect their confidence. For MUTV News, I'm Jordan Abadea. Joining me right now is nutrition teacher Barb Troy, who's going to speak with us about healthy eating habits and ways we can stay fit. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
You're welcome.
So you teach nutrition here at Marquette. What other things do you do?
I also work at Student Health Services, and I see students who have any kind of a nutritional need. I do see students that are on that eating disorder spectrum. I see students who just want to be healthier. I see student athletes that are trying to aspire just another level up with their food intake.
So staying fit is very important today. We see that with the growing numbers of obesity. What are some of the things we can do to stay fit?
Well, I think it is all about thinking about variety and moderation and balance. When you're talking about from the food intake, you really good nutrition starts with eating a variety of foods. And I totally agree with you. There's a lot of emphasis today on our obesity crisis. But there is that other end of the spectrum too, where people get too overdone as far as counting every calorie and going too far with that. And I get very concerned about that.
So as college students, most of us are eating in the dorms and stuff. What do you recommend that we should eat in order to stay healthy?
Challenging, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
very.
It's very tough. I agree with you. When the dorms are particularly limited to what's available out there, but you still can be thinking in terms of variety. The kinds of things where you're always supposed to be getting some good milk that's high quality protein. You got a lot of calcium and vitamin D, which is very much in the news now. Always trying to look for some good quality protein to the best of your ability, and those fruits and vegetables, having some of those every day. Following those mypyramid.gov guidelines that we probably all learned as kids. If you're not real thrilled with what's available in your dorm, those dorm refrigerators can come very handy, and you can really stash some things away and really make those trips from home very important to you as far as getting some stuff in there that you can rely on.
Now, you mentioned the food pyramid. When I was a kid in like second grade when we learned about the pyramid, it was a lot different than it is now. They recently redid it. Could you explain the changes?
Sure. What they tried to do a little bit is, I'm not so keen on the idea how they tried to stack it the other direction and make everything going up and down. I think that was, quite frankly, a little bit of politicking with some of the different food groups and wanting their spot on more premier on the pyramid. But the thing I did like that they did is they have a guy that's running up the steps as far as the new pyramid. And the idea there is that part of what we should be thinking about with balancing our food intake is being active every day, and that's a good piece of advice.
So how much exercise do you recommend that students get to stay healthy?
Sure. The dietary guidelines, the food pyramid, the American Heart Association are all in agreement that we should be about 30 minutes of moderate activity on most days of the week, that we're striving for that. Now, moderate activity means that we're doing some exercise and still have the ability to do some talking, maybe a little breathless, but still that you could carry on a conversation. If you're doing it of a higher intensity, you can cut that amount by half for the week.
Now, people have different body types, and some people think that they should try and attain a different body type than what they're used to. So what is your advice for people who have different body types but are trying to achieve ones that really aren't for them? Once again, very difficult topic from a standpoint, because the majority of us do not have that perfect body image that we see in the media. And as I think Dr. Doreen said very well, not everybody is vulnerable to that. It takes a vulnerable person to kind of get pulled into that whole thing. But it starts with acceptance too, and working with what you have and being the best person you can be. I think you need to treat yourself like you would treat your best friend, and that means that you start with loving yourself and taking care of yourself just as you would your best friend. So as college students, we typically don't have a lot of free time. So if we need to fit in exercise and healthy eating, how do you suggest we organize all of that? It's hard, and I know some days of the week it's pretty impossible depending on schedules, and I always tell students to be okay with that. I mean, you're striving for trying to get 30 minutes of activity most days of the week. The dietary guidelines tells us if we can at least get that in 10-minute increments, it makes a difference as far as our fitness level. So that means on those days when you're really challenged as far as being busy, maybe walk a little farther as far as your ways to classes, or go up and down the stairs a little bit more as far as opposed to taking elevators, and just make it work on those days a little bit differently. So with our crazy schedules and everything, how about late night eating? Is that really bad for us? It depends on if it really is the whole total substance of your eating. I think a good rule of thumb is our bodies are kind of designed to be eating something about every 3 to 4 hours. And if we're doing that, proper appetite regulatory hormones are going to be telling us when we're really hungry physiologically and when we're getting full. So if you just load up at the end of the day, you're not really giving your body a chance to be giving you those proper signals all day long, and you go to bed feeling uncomfortable and maybe kind of mad at yourself too. Right. Not good. So thank you very much for all of your advice. Welcome. We really appreciate it. Sure. And for some great healthy recipes, stay tuned to Channel 99 and watch the variety show tonight at 8:30 p.m. The show will feature a segment called Get Baked with Morgan White that will showcase how to make ants on a log and other great variations. Coming up after the break, I'll be talking with Tribune reporter Rebecca Preibel about her feature story, and it's important to be healthy in every aspect. I'll tell you how to prevent H1N1 this season, and we'll be right back.